What we have here is failure to communicate. Paul Newman is Cool Hand Luke. This film was originally released back in November of 1967, and it was directed by Stuart Rosenberg. And it stars Paul Newman, George Kennedy, and Strother Martin. It's about a man who refuses to conform to a life in a rural prison. Yeah, we've all been there at least once. I was referring to high school. Or if you want to just broaden the spectrum, K through 12. I failed to communicate a few times during those years. Wasn't pretty. At first glance, this film just appeared to me to be just kind of like the standard tale of a man who goes to prison and he tries to escape, and it's just a regular prison movie. But then as the film drew to a close, I was like, is this like a character study? Not that there's much of a character here, because Paul Newman in this movie doesn't really have a lot of sort of guidelines for life. He just kind of does things. He has no plan. He's like the Joker, but he's not the Joker. He's Cool Hand Luke. I must say that I found the first half of this film to be extremely entertaining, just a thoroughly enjoyable film. Then as the second half came, it wasn't as enjoyable. Much like Paul Newman's character, you start out and you're having a great time, and then as the movie goes along, the character and the story just kind of go kaput. Not that this is a bad film, in fact, far from it. Just that as Paul Newman's character goes through these trials and such, as the movie progresses, it just doesn't get as engrossing as it was. And I gotta say, I loved this cast. And the prisoners that were in the prison with Paul Newman were more just to be in there, because you gotta have a prison full of prisoners. You can't just have Paul Newman in there. But they were the kind of folks that were easily influenced, and so when Paul Newman just kind of started doing things his way, and that inspired the prisoners, which got them to become his followers. And over time, they just keep feeding off of him, and at one point, later in the film, Paul Newman just screams, "Stop feeding off of me." And that's just a brilliant line, plain and simple. And if you think about it, that line could be used in so many films, but it's not. It's used in this film, and that just makes it more badass. So far in this classic series, I've had good luck. I haven't run into any bad films, at least from my perspective. I have no doubt that down the line I'm going to find one classic that I'm not going to like, or at least, won't enjoy as much as I would like to. But so far, I am really enjoying these classic films, and I'm gonna give Cool Hand Luke 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you are at all interested in seeing this film based on the plot or who's in it, then I'd say put it in your Netflix queue, but it's, not the highest priority out there. What we have here is failure to communicate. Well, if you're not receiving my calls, then I can text you, or, I don't know, email you, or Facebook you, whatever works for you, man.